Failure is never final. Wow. So beautiful. Where do you go from out? It was 1985. I stood before the most talented, gifted, and accomplished young women in the country. We were gathered in Mobile, Alabama for the Junior Miss Contest. I had been asked to speak to the girls competing in the national competition. They had come from every state and presented our country's finest young women. I looked across that sea of lovely young faces and wondered who would be chosen the next Junior Miss of America. The next day, the cameras and the newspapers would carry the news of the winner to the entire country. The nation would remember the winner, but what about the losers? They had come so far, but only one would stand in the winner's circle. All the others would be out. I was concerned for them all, those who would lose and the one who would win. The ones who would not receive the crown might feel they had failed, and the winner would wear her crown for a year, then pass it on to someone else. Then she too would be out. Where would these lovely girls, ambitious young women go from out? Would they be bitter? Would they be disillusioned? Would they be so intimidated that they would never try again? I felt that the best gift I could give these girls would be a clear perspective of who they were and what they had accomplished. I wanted to give them the reassurance that they were all special. Uh-huh. Yes, very, very special. Waheguru, Waheguru. I began. Tomorrow night, only one girl will be chosen as the Junior Miss of America. Only one will walk away with the title. Only one will wear the crown. So tonight, I have a question that I want to think about carefully. The question is this: where would you go from out? A lot of people all over the world feel they are out of something or other. They are not asked to join the clubs, or they fail to get invitation to a party. They are overlooked for promotions or awards. Some people are living on a high class street. They are others are not. Some are rich, some are poor, some have it and some don't. Everybody is out of something or some circle. Tomorrow night, one person will be in the winning circle. The rest of you will be out. And if you happen to be out and not enjoying the human race, in the scriptures it says, "For you shall be go out with joy, and be led forth with peace." You shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. If you don't win, you can return home with joy and be led forth with peace. If you can remember that, you're all winners. You're all successful. The truth is that even those who try but don't make it are winners too. The losers are those who never dared to try because they were afraid they wouldn't make it. Most people fail because they haven't tried, and they haven't tried because they don't want to run the risk of being disappointed. Those who try have already succeeded in a very important area of life, for they have conquered the fear of failure as soon as they sign up. Decide to go for it and give it a shot. You are a winner. You haven't let the threat of possible disappointment keep you from trying to do something great. For years, I have kept these words on the wall of my office. I would rather attempt to do something great and fail than attempt to do nothing and succeed. Nobody who has tried to is really out. You may feel out of it. You may feel you have failed. You may be bitterly disappointed and disillusioned, but these are distortions. The reality is that you are a part of a winner's circle. You are a part of elite group of people who thrive. The person who wins the number one spot will be surprised how quickly others will forget her success, unless she reminds them. Famous fleeting fortunes can be dissipated overnight. It means we all have to learn how to make exits gracefully. We can all learn a lot from the lesson my mother taught me when I was a little boy. Piano recital, she would say, "Where's the opening again? Now where's the ending again?" When I protested, she replied, "Listen, Bob, make your opening terrific, make your ending glorious. If you do, your audience will forget the mistakes in the middle. Learn to live so that your exit is gracious." Wow. Make your exit gracious. Every year at the beginning of a new year, national magazine and newspapers have in and out lists. These lists tell What foods are in, which foods are out, which fashions are in, which fashions are out, which entertainers are in, which entertainers are out, which politicians are in, which politicians are out. Like the beauty contest, the fashion designers, the entertainers, and the politicians, we all at one time or another face exist. We all will be suddenly and unexpectedly out. You thought your career was progressing fine, then you would be tapped as the president of the company. How many years did you give to the corporation? And then the crucial decision was made to bring somebody in front from the outside and to put you by. You're out. Where do you go from out? You thought you read the market so well. You placed a huge order. It is a warehouse. Suddenly, the fickle styles changes, fashions pass, and the orders don't come in. This product is out. Where do you go from out? You had a big hit and made a name for yourself. Suddenly, you can't get a decent contract, a solid booking, a great script, or a really good song. The promoters don't want you anymore. You're out. Where do you go from out? Your spouse is no longer with you, removed perhaps by death, maybe through divorce. Now you're out. Where do you go from out? Your future was secure. Everything was unfolding as planned. Everything was great. Then an unexpected pain. The doctors call. You have got cancer. Where do you go from out? All of us are going out. Sometime, some way, somewhere. The question is not, will I have to make an exit, but rather, how will I make my exit? When you go out for success to failure, from failure to success, from health to sickness, from job to retirement, from marriage to singleness, from life to death, what kind of an attitude will you have? The spirit of your exit is all important, for it will affect your reputation as well as whether or not you will enjoy the rest of your journey. Some go out with bitterness, anger, hurt, pain, self-pity. They are jealous of those who are still in. They leave behind a bad impression because they are now in a self-inflicted position of weakness. On the other hand, some people go out with joy. These people turn their exits into entrances. They operate from a position of strength rather than weakness, simply because they have adopted a positive outlook towards the failure or the exit. As a pastoral counselor, I have made my business to study people. I have been some people overwhelmed by tragedy, while I have seen positive attitude of others overwhelmed with their tragedy. There are undergoers who become overworkers. I have counseled with superstars who watch their set career slide on the kids. They tell me I no longer have box office appeal. Some have handled it graciously, others, well, many drink too much. I have counseled with farmers from my home state who have lost the family farm. The auction at the courthouse was horrendously painful. The land and the buildings had been passed on from great grandfather who came from the old country. Now they are out. The title to the land recorded in a strange new name. Their keys are returned in. Out fire, divorce, separated, parting of the ways. Out death, bankruptcy, lost for days. Sudden shifts in the market. Oh, how many exits there are in the pavilion called life on planet Earth. Remember, success is never ending, failure is never final. Healing may and not must be found in two stages. Stage 1 is the damage control. Stage 2 is renewal and recovery. Stage 1, damage control. You're out shocked that this could ever happen to you. Surprised that you're surviving it barely. If anyone had ever told you you would be going through this, you wouldn't have believed it. And if they had told you that you would survive it, you wouldn't have believed that either. But you heard as you have never heard before. Learn some lessons now from the veterans who have had a lot of experience enduring, tolerating, absorbing pain. Here is how they patch up and the ragged hole. They stop the hemorrhaging of their life spreads. They employ frontline damage control therapy. They get the poor fellow home alive. He will recover right now. Let's contain the loss and control the rapidly spreading hurt. So listen and learn from the scarred soldiers. How did they pass through? What advice do they offer? Keep a sense of humor. It's no sacrilege to laugh at a funeral. It can release tremendous tension. Morticians, medical doctors, pastor soldiers have all learned to laugh or the grief would kill them. Jokes are important. Welcome them. Accept and receive the comfort offered. Reject and resist the temptation to rebuff the condolences and encouragement well-meaning people offer. You need strokes, take them. Draw close, don't pull away from your closest friends or family. They are going to help you. Be cooperative. Your folks really love you. Remember, hope is in the absence of suffering. It is living in the presence of love. Work hard at holding the rest of your life together. Be careful. Grief could tear at the rest of your life apart. I've seen a young couple lose a child and allow this tragedy to wreck their marriage too. I've seen an executive fired at the corporate power play. I spoke who knocked out of the wheel of his life. His attitude was negative. What they angry. He kicked the rest of the spokes out too. Wife, family, health, religion. Wait a minute. I plead and went. You need whatever spokes you have left. There are enough spokes remaining in the wheel of fortune to take you along the road until you find a repair shop. Right now, let's control the damage. Take care of the spokes you have left, right on them. When you are suddenly out, you will meet your sense of humor. When you can see something light or funny in your situation, then you can be gracious in your loss. When my wife Avila had her breast removed for cancer, and when my daughter Carol lost her leg in a motorcycle accident, they made some pretty funny jokes about their situations. In fact, one day Avila and Carol both joked about their unusual day of shopping. Now it's not uncommon for mothers and daughters to go shopping together, but there are few mothers and daughters who have gone to the same store for their spare parts. Avila and Carol spent the day being fitted, not for dresses but for prosthetics. They made up quite a few jokes about it, which were very healing. Now, never underestimate the power of laughter and humor. Henry was cat. He knows how much healing love and laughter can bring when you're out. Henry was born in 1912, New York City, the son of immigrant parents. He was born without normal legs. He spent most of his early life in a hospital. He did not receive his artificial limbs with which he walks today until he was 27 years old. But what a life he has lived. He has become one of the world's most respected figures in the fields of rehabilitation and education. He has devoted his life to ensuring that severely disabled individuals might have all the opportunities to achieve their fullest potential as human beings, and he's always believed that living proof is the most persuasive. In Henry founded the internationally famed Human Resources Center in Elbiston, Long Island, and through the Center's Research and Training Institutes, Abilities Inc., and Human Resources School, he has demonstrated to the world that the disabled can be fully integrated into every phase of American life. Henry has been an advisor of every president and Frank Roosevelt to Ronald Reagan. His honors and awards are many. He is highly respected and admired across the country and is well known for his positive attitude and his endearing sense of humor. When I interviewed him, many of you may be impressed by the fact that I'm standing here on two artificial limbs, but that after all is not a handicap, it's only an inconvenience. Has it occurred to you that there is an almost Easter Sunday and I haven't changed my socks since the 4th of July? But I hope you have. Henry, where did you get such a positive attitude toward life? I suppose I got it from my parents. I remember asking my mother when I was a child, of all to be so born, why me? And in her simple peace and wisdom, my mother replied, when it was time for another crippled boy to be born in the world, the Lord and his counselors had a meeting to decide where he should be sent, and the Lord said, I think the Biscardis would be a good family for a crippled boy. And so I feel a deal of gratitude today for America, with great land in which we live, which gave me an opportunity to become a landman operating in difficult fields. In any other land, I probably would have been lucky to wind up selling lottery tickets on some street corner or counting gasoline drums on some loading dock. God bless America for what it's given me. The positive attitude and sense of humor carried Henry Visetti when he was out. Now he's using that name to humor to help handicapped children who are considered out. He can build a school for the disabled and is educating them because, as he said, no matter how disabled a child may be born, if that girl or boy becomes a learned man or woman, then they are no longer disabled. Today in his Human Resources School, there are 150 students from 6 months of age with their mothers through high school as educated men and women in his highly sophisticated world. They will be prepared to face life challenges and become self-sufficient, dignified individuals. These students are not ordinary people seeking extraordinary destinies, but these wonderful students of us are extraordinary people seeking ordinary destinies, to love and be loved, to be the same and not different from the rest of the world as they are in the eyes of God. And it's a place of great humor if you can ever come to it. If you were to visit the school, you would find laughter throughout the campus. I shall never forget the time when a group of little ones invited me to tea. I sat and waited for the tea. Finally, one little girl came in pushing the tea caddy, and teacher said, somewhat annoyed, "You are late. You have been waiting for the tea." "What kept you?" a little girl replied. "I couldn't find the tea strainer. I should have let it go at that." But I said to her, "What did you do?" "I used a fly swatter. I had to drink the tea, but I haven't enjoyed a cup since." Henry Viscardi had a wonderful wife, Lucille, two daughters, and 8 grandchildren. All of them stand by him in his dreams and his aspirations. He has pledged that as long as there is but one disabled American who offers the challenges of life to a sheltered existence, he will devote his energies to that person's need. Henry concluded his visit, Cathedral Crystal, with this statement: "My friends, to hope is a duty, not a luxury. To hope is to turn dreams into reality. Blessed are those who dream dreams and are willing to pay the price to make them come true." You can go out with joy if you have some jokes and a positive attitude to carry you up and beyond. When you're suddenly out, you will need some strokes. You will need comfort at times. So don't be afraid to admit it if you are hurting. The saddest thing in the world is that there is hurting people who won't let anybody know how they feel. Not even their wives, their husbands, their families, their pastors, or their friends. If you are too proud to admit you're hurting, don't be surprised if nobody seems to care. Loving, caring, positive strokes can be wonders to give you the strength to make you exit graciously and the courage to make a new grand entrance. The power of carefully chosen words should never be minimized. Strokes can be very healing when you are suddenly out. One woman, Patty Lewis, knows how devastating it can be out after 40 years of marriage to the celebrated comedian Jerry Lewis. After bearing and raising 6 sons, she suddenly found herself out. Patty, who has always been a Christian, says that her relationship with the Lord and friendship with other women helped carry her through. The loving strokes from these women were so helpful that Patty and Jackie Joseph, who had been married to the actor Ken Berry, started a local organization that they call Ladies, which stands for Life After Divorce is Eventually Sane. Ladies, life after divorce is eventually sane. This group is composed of women who were married to famous men. As Patty said, let's face it, let's see their faces in the paper all the time, and it's not easy to maintain your sanity. It's difficult to remember that you are special when your self-esteem is shattered through a divorce. You cry all the time, you become very bitter, and you can't sleep. But when you can feel anger, then you are on the road of recovery. Anger is the last stage, and when you get to that point, suddenly the sky seems to open up and happiness floods in again. Patty, are you still bitter toward Jerry? Oh no, I bear no malice. In fact, we are friends, but I don't know if I could have got into this place if it weren't for the place and encouragement and loving advice that I received in my small group of ladies. You can go out with joy if you have some loving strokes. When you're suddenly out, you will need some folks to stand by you. I've also said people who make gracious exits and fluorescent trances are those who have friends, family, and loved ones to give them vital emotional support, encouragement, and guidance. In the famous play Anastasia, we meet a woman who claims to be the daughter of this car, who somehow has escaped death during the Bolshevik Revolution. She's discovered alone in an insane asylum where she was kept after her failed attempt to jump from the bridge into a raging river. She's despondent, depressed, and without a family or friends. Then one of the doctors comes across a newspaper clipping that sparks a whole new life, a whole new beginning for this lost soul. In the clipping, he sees a remarkable likeness to Anastasia, the lost daughter of Caesar of Russia. Through hypnosis, he hears his patient describe the reprehensible assassination of Anasia's family. She seemingly knows details of Anasia's past that only the princess would know, and so the mystery begins. Those who believe in Anastasia compile irrefutable evidence that she is the missing princess. Those who doubt and suspect her of fraud discover just as much evidence against her. However, her grandmother, the empress, chooses to believe in Anastasia. Anastasia begins to shade the trampled, defeated persona and adopts a regal stance. She blooms, she stands straight and tall, and moves with grace. She withered young woman from the insane asylum blossoms into a princess. Wow. What inspired the transformation? How did Anastasia find her way out and up? She says in the play, you must understand that it never mattered whether or not I was a princess. It only matters that I'm I. That someone, if it be only one, has held out their arms to welcome me back from death. You can go out from any situation if you have someone who believes in you, and you can go up and beyond if you have someone who cares for you and cheers you on. Love Little was football coach at Georgetown University. The college president came to him one day and named the student said, "Lord, do you know this fellow?" "Sure. He's been on my squad 4 years. I've never played him. He's good enough, but he's just not motivated." "Well, we just heard that his father died. Will you break the news to him?" The coach put his arm around the young man in the back room and told him about his father. "I'm very sorry, son. Take a week off." But the next day, the coach was amazed to see the student in the locker room suiting up for the game. "What are you doing here tonight? It's the big game. I've got to play in it. But you know, I've never started. You start me tonight and you won't be sorry." And moistened player stated firmly. Softening, the coach decided that he's won the toss. He would use him on the first play. He couldn't do that much damage on the kickoff return. Georgetown won the toss on the first play. His fatherless boy came tearing down the field with a ball like the tornado. Coach Little, shocked, left him in for another play and then another. He blocked, he tackled, he passed, he ran, he literally won the ball game for Georgetown University that day. In the locker room, Coach Little, perplexed, asked, "Son, what happened?" The happy, perspiring Victor said, "Coach, you never knew my dad, did you?" "Well, sir, he was blind and today was the first time he ever saw me play." You can go out and up with joy if you have folks who believe in you. The truth is that we all have folks, we all have friends, we all have someone somewhere who cares about us and believes that we can make a comeback. When you're suddenly out, you will need some spokes to keep your life together. You can go out with joy if you will guard the rest of your values against the possibility of suffering damage from what's happening. When you move from one passage in life to another, when you leave the era of your life completely behind you, never to return. Do not leave behind the ideas, the values, the morals, and the ethics. Maybe you are a single through death and divorce. This does not now give you the liberty to forsake your morals and ideals. Maybe you have been passed by for a promotion, or perhaps you're out looking for a job. That doesn't free you from the ethical restraints by which you have lived. There must be abiding, eternal, and spiritual values around which your life will continue to move. They are the spokes on the levels of spiritual values from which you should never depart. I'm reminded of the time when my daughter Sheila auditioned for her high school music. Sheila had done a lot of solo work in the school. We encouraged her for audition for the lead. She even was approached by the drama teacher who pulled her aside and asked if she planned to audition. "Sheila, there's a part in this show that is perfect for you. Take a script home and read it over this weekend and let me know what you think." Sheila was naturally excited and flattered that the teacher had singled her out. She nearly floated home, script in hand, and the minute she stepped in the door, she retreated to her room dreaming of stardom. The role that the teacher had in her mind, the comic lead, at first looked wonderful, charming, witty, and vivacious. But then Sheila came to the scene that deeply troubled her. Her character was to meet a handsome stranger take him home with her, and in a light and funny scene, seduce him. It was a scene totally alien to Sheila's value. Sheila didn't feel comfortable playing the role because everyone at school knew that what her values were, and she knew the role would compromise her beliefs. As Sheila told me later, she put the script aside, bowed her head, and prayed, "Dear Lord, I want to be a success for you. I want your love to shine enough through. I want to be what you want me to be. Help me to do that and show me how." Sheila shared her concerns with us and explained that she wouldn't be auditioning for the role. She had decided to audition for the romantic lead instead. That afternoon, she filled out her audition card and indicated which part she wanted. She carefully omitted the name of the comic relief. However, when her teacher called her up to read, she told her to return to the certain page in the script and read a part of the comic relief. Her teacher had already cast her in the role. Sheila's face grew hot with hurt and anger. In front of 50 other students and a panel of teachers, she said as calmly as she could, "I'm not auditioning for that role." "Why not? It's an excellent part. It's not right for me. I do not feel that as a professing Christian I can play that role." "Sheila, I asked you to read that part. Now are you going to read or not?" She could not. She could see that the only way to convince the teacher that she was not right for the role would be to read for her. So she read as slowly and monotonously as she could. Her teacher knew her capabilities as an actress, and she could see that Sheila was deliberately reading poorly. Since the other teachers were witnesses to her pitiful performance, the teacher would be forced to give the role to another girl. Sheila handed the script back to the stunned teacher. Then she walked out of the auditorium with her head held high. So, no sooner got out of the auditorium, however, than she felt tremendous disappointment. She ran to the parking lot where I was waiting. Flinging open the car door, she cried, "Oh, Dad, I didn't get that romantic lead." She never intended for me to read it. She was dead set that I do the comic lead. I took my darling daughter in my arms and said, "Oh, Sheila, God allowed you to happen so that you could make a statement of faith. I'm so proud of you. God chose you to play an exceptional part today. He chose you out of all the other students to share a loving way that Jesus is Lord of your life." Then I looked her squarely in the eye and continued, "This afternoon you were a smashing success. You get rave reviews for God and me." Imagine my further pride when little Sheila was chosen out of all other children in her school to sing "Oh Holy Night" on the annual Christmas show. Sheila was able to make her exit graciously in the musical. She sang in the chorus and cheerfully supported the production. Even though she was not in a position to prominence, she was able to make a glorious entrance of the "Oh Holy Night" solo. Make your entrance glorious. You can make your exit gracious and your new entrance grand if you can look beyond, if you can keep in mind that failure is never final and success is never ending. I count it a great privilege to have met and talked one-to-one with Sammy Davis Jr. I have the chance to ask him questions about himself and about his attitude towards his life, his dreams, his success. Sammy's trials are all pretty well known and documented in the press. His road to success was not always smooth. Where did you get your inspiration? Where you were starting out? Did you have any role models? Well, if you listen to me and sing that song, Mr. Bojangles, that will give you a clue, because I knew the kind of black minstrel. He was a street performer with a frog collar and a frayed cow, but he always kept himself immaculate in spite of his